Okay, so I'm live on YouTube now. Oh, YouTube, you really actually it's not YouTube's fault. It's freaking my Wi-Fi, man. Anyway, okay. Sorry guys. I'm gonna back up on TikTok right now. I'm gonna back up and do my whole introduction again because this has got to be here for YouTube. Okay, but I'm gonna do it really fast. Okay, we're getting into car camping right now. This is all the stuff you need to know about car camping. This is the stuff I've learned for the past couple years that I have done it. And the reason I car camp is because basically you can bring more gear. You're going to be way more comfortable with all of that new gear. You can stay longer because of that. You're going to get better sleep. You the drawback, of course, obviously, is you can't get into like the cool backpacking places and you're going to be surrounded by people. And that's probably like the biggest drawback to car camping for me, especially when you are camping next to other people. But if you can find a really good dispersed spot, like you can have a lot of fun car camping. So that's why I do it. You can also travel to different places really quickly. You don't have to get a hotel. If you really build it out, like you never have to get a hotel when you're doing a road trip. So that's some of the things. Now, I'd already kind of talked about this a little bit on well, pretty much TikTok, but I'll kind of just go over it again. But I want to get into like the essential gear that you should have when you are going car camping. Again, this is just my opinion, but like all of this stuff has worked really, really well for me. Now, all the links will be in my YouTube live. They will be on my Amazon storefront. If you're on TikTok, you can go to my link tree and see them there. They're on under idea lists and car camping. So basically it'll be there, or you can go to the podcast notes or my YouTube live. So plug that again. Okay, let's get back into, I'll quickly review the two things that I just talked about already before my YouTube went down. But number one is a huge proponent of building out a platform. So what a platform is basically a add-on to the back of your rig. And so this is going to be something that you want to use to keep yourself level when you're in the car, because if you've ever went car camping before, you know that it's always unlevel and it's terrible. And that kind of sucks for sleeping. The whole point of going car camping is so you can sleep better. For me anyway, I love that. So that's one point. Now, building out a platform can be super easy. You can get super complicated with it, or you can make it super freaking easy. And I like easy. So me and a buddy did it. I will leave the link for the plans that we use for my RAV4 in my YouTube description and in the podcast notes. But it was super easy. It could be pretty much adapted to anything that you want to use it for. Not sure if you could, yeah, you could put it in the back of a truck. I don't know why you couldn't. So again, what it does is it re-levels basically the back of your car. And again, I'm going to get back into the tip that I was talking about prior, but one of the biggest tips with car camping is making sure that you're parked at somewhat of a decline. So where your head is, instead of parking on flat ground, you want to actually be parked where your head or where the car's front tires are kind of at a decline. And the reason is because always, like, naturally, especially before you get a platform, your car's back is a little bit tilted like this, which your feet are always going out towards the door. It sucks. But if you can get that little decline there, it's absolutely amazing. It's going to 10x your sleep. Like I was saying before, basically I will literally like repark my car, like pick up everything, repark my car if I forget to do this. Like it's great. So that's like one huge tip there. Now, in order to go with the platform and the sleeping thing, is a sleeping pad from Amazon. Again, you can find this in my Amazon storefront, the idea list, but it's a 4-inch pad, super thick. Go with the 4-inch pad. I mean, why not? It's great. It's super thick. I sleep about as good as I do on that pad and on the platform as I do in my own house. And again, bring your blankets, you can bring your pillows. I mean, you can really make it cozy. Like that's the coolest thing about car camping to me, is that you really can enjoy yourself and really, really make it as comfortable as you want to do. And it's just something that you can't, like, backpacking is awesome. I'll always love backpacking, but it's just not like, you're kind of suffering quite a bit. Like you're usually not getting that good of sleep and all of that type of stuff. Again, the pro is that you're exploring really cool country, but with car camping, again, you can be super comfortable and you can stay out a lot longer. Now, The next thing, and look, YouTube still hasn't gone down yet, which has been great. The next thing that I would say is having insulation or curtains for your windows. And what I use for insulation is this stuff called Reflectix. And again, this is in my Amazon store, but it's on Amazon. And basically, you just cut out little, like, you trace it basically around the window or wherever it is that you're camping in, the windows of the car, and you cut it out, scissors, and then you just paste it up there, and bam, like you're good to go. And what this does is a couple things. Is obviously it keeps in heat, so especially in the winter, your heat isn't escaping. But then also, like, probably the biggest thing is that it's also like usually it doesn't make as much condensations on the windows. It's a little bit less condensation, which if you've ever woke up after car camping, there's a ton of condensation in there, which kind of sucks. So that will stop that. But I think the most thing is that it really does retain the heat, and you can really cook in your car, like cook as in be hot in your car if you're winter camping and not even running any heat. I mean, I never run heat. I don't have a heater. I think that's a little bit, for me, it's a little bit bougie. I mean, I still got to suffer a little bit when I'm doing stuff. So I never run the heater usually. So I just try to make my own heat, and the insulation's been great. So now the next thing that I would look at are these things called M powered solar string lights. Really, if you want to set the vibe, if you want to be super comfortable, you want to have the ambiance of a real nice being comfortable and being outdoors in a car and camping, these are a must. So basically they're string lights that basically what I did, again, I am not a very complicated person. So I literally just like thumbtacked these things to the top of my cloth roof basically in my car, and I just pretty much did them in like a square outline of the inside of my car, and it's on a solar light. So basically you click on the light, and then it has different settings, and it can be just, super bright, it can be not bright, whatever. And so it just provides a really great ambiance and super chill vibe to when you're spending time in the car, when you're reading or something like that, you're doing work or something. Really sets a really nice vibe. Again, it's solar, so typically I'll just put it on the top of my car when it's sunny out in the middle of the day, let it charge up. Super cool. So again, something that's in my Amazon storefront. Next thing you definitely need a camping chair. The one I have was given to me by a friend, and I can't remember the version or what it's called, but yeah, it's pretty sweet. And it's just like a fold-out chair, really great for eating outside, all that kind of stuff. But make sure you get a camping chair. Again, why not? You're not carrying it. You just have to find room for it in your vehicle. But you're not carrying it. This isn't backpacking. Like, you basically think about this, or how I think about it, as I bring all the stuff I would never bring backpacking. So car camping really provides a different experience. And that's something I should have said at the intro. It really provides a different experience to how you experience the outdoors. Like, you can have a lot more fun cooking. Bring a cast iron, you know, pan, whatever. Bring a Dutch oven, do cool stuff. You can do a lot more stuff and bring a lot more gear to have a different experience rather than versus backpacking when you're car camping. The next thing I would bring is something like super easy. It's just a Tyvek sheet. And this is great for, you can just put it on the ground if you need to change shoes, or you're sitting on your chair and you want to go barefoot, but you don't want to be, it's muddy or something like that. Boom, you just put a Tyvek sheet there. Super easy, not complicated at all. Now, the stove that I use is, and I might switch this up eventually because there's somebody in here that talked about a Coleman stove, which would actually be something super clutch. But what I've used, because I mostly am still doing dehydrated meals, is an MSR stove. And the reason I got an MSR stove, it's called an MSR Whisperlight Universal. Now, I got this for two reasons. One is because I'm going to be doing some winter camping. I got goals to do Denali soon. And one of the things that I need is to have a really good cook system. And so what this MSR thing does is it's got a basically liquid gas. And so like the gas canister to this thing is like huge basically. And then it's just a huge, it curls up basically, but it's a regular burner that you almost maybe see it backpacking just a little bit bigger. And it's really cool. And so the pro to this is that, well, the con, why I probably wouldn't bring it backpacking unless I'm winter backpacking, is because that it's super heavy. Not super heavy, but it's heavier than a regular BRS stove that I use, which is super tiny when I ultralight backpack. But the reason it's really nice for car camping is because it's on liquid fuel. So rather, the canisters that you get when you go backpacking, right? They're kind of expensive, and they're great for being portable when you need something to cook with when you're in the backcountry. But when you are car camping, you don't need to bring something small like that. You can actually go full out. So these liquid containers is you actually get some liquid gas in a different container, and then you just repeatedly fill up this just one red container all the time. Once it gets low, you refill it and then you attach it to your stove. And it's a lot cheaper. It's a lot more economical. It's a lot cheaper than using those canisters. So you're going to be going through a lot less gas. Number one, you're going to be not spending as much on gas too. So that is a really good tip and something I've been playing with this winter. So the MSR stove has been great. Now, the other thing to go along with the table, to go along with the platform that I mentioned earlier, we had some extra plywood, basically. We had some extra plywood and a 2x4. And can you guess what I did with this? I made a table out of it. So basically what I do is, if you imagine the platform is elevated up off of the ground of the car, right? It's up here. And then on top of that platform, I also put my pad. Now, what I do is I store this, I don't know, 2 foot, 1 foot by 5 foot plywood sheet. I store it in my car. And what I actually do is I actually slide it underneath the pad when I want to cook with it. I slide it underneath and then I put a 2x4 to prop it up. And that's my table. And so that's where I'll cook on. Pretty super cool. I have a video about this actually, again, on my YouTube that kind of shows how to use this. But again, it doesn't need to be complicated. I mean, I see all these complicated builds, and I mean, to be honest, I'm kind of super jealous that they can do it. But for me, it's I don't want to spend the time. And I'm probably going to have to get a new vehicle soon anyway. So I don't really want to, really make it cool, but it works for me. Again, if you're just trying to get into car camp, just want something super simple, great way to do it. Now, the next thing that you're going to need that is awesome is some kind of portable battery charger. Now, I used to have basically my Anker portable chargers that I would use for backpacking, but again, this is car camping. So you can basically 2x what you usually do for backpacking at the minimum. So one of those Jackery portable chargers, I have a Power Republic. I think it's a 306 and it's tiny. So like I would look for a 306 watt or whatever. I don't know, but that's like good enough for me. I mean, I can charge my computer out of that. What's really cool is that it's got outlets that you would actually, 2-prong outlets, basically. It's got type A, it's got type C, it's got USB, it's got all of these different outlets that you could ever imagine. And then the thing just lasts for forever. So any kind of road trip that you're on, the thing is going to last for a long, long time. And it's great. So that would be a tip there. And then the other thing is you got to bring some kind of, pretty good first aid kit or like a saw. And so I have actually kind of like a machete type thing, which got a saw on the end of it as well. But you got to imagine if you are in some kind of dispersed area or some kind of pretty hardcore place and some tree just boom drops in front of you and you're in your car, I mean, you're kind of screwed if you don't have anything to remove that tree with. So people that do van life and van camp are always carrying usually chainsaws or some kind of other souped up saw that you could use that would remove that. But that's probably the worst thing that could happen to you. Now, the second worst thing that could happen to you is your car not starting. And this just happened to me recently on the beach, and then 4 days prior to that. And I had to keep flagging people down to help get me a jump. Now I carry jumper cables, but again, obviously that only works if you have another person there with you. So what I had to do is I eventually bought a portable battery charger. Again, this is in my Amazon storefront, and I will leave this link in the description. But what I've seen, it's this Noco Boost battery charger. It's been great. I haven't had to use it yet, but I have seen, there's a ton of reviews on it from Amazon and things like that saying that it's great. And this is going to really get you out of a sticky situation. I would not wait until it happens to you where this is me, by the way. I never want to, sometimes I will refuse to get something because it hasn't happened to me yet, which is a really bad way of thinking. But I wouldn't wait till it happens to you to finally get this. But that's what made me finally get it. And I feel a lot safer now having it. What's really cool is that the Power Republic charging station or any of those Jackeries or whatever will end up charging that portable battery charger just in case it's lost its charge from just sitting in your car. You go to use it and it's dead. So the charging station will then be able to charge that. So that's really good too. Yeah, that's not, it's not good. There's something else I wanted to say with that, but I can't remember. But obviously you want to have some coolers with food, pretty self-explanatory. I use Arctic because I've worked with them in the past before, but they're really great. And typically, like in the winter, I really don't need a cooler. It's just cold enough where I just store all my stuff there and I just let it ride and we're good to go. So, but in the summer, definitely what I would recommend is probably if you're doing like a weekend car camp or just an overnight is the 20 can from Arctic is really good, the soft cooler. And then anything over that, something that would be a bigger trip, you get the hard cooler. The 52 liter is what I would recommend after that, the 52 liter hard cooler. And then finally, the app that you want to use is a really cool app that I have, and it's called, I can't remember which way it's called. It's either Free Roam or Roam Free. I think it's called Free Roam. And basically this is kind of shows you everywhere that you could possibly camp within basically reason, kind of more popular spots. So it would be BLM land, it could be dispersed camping, it could be campgrounds and things like that. And it's going to have reviews there from past people that have went there. So you know that, oh, it's a dirty campground or whatever, or it's a really hard to reach dispersed site. People will leave reviews right like that. So that is a really good app that I'm always using on the road when I'm trying to find an actual place to camp, usually, especially when you're not like expecting where to go. You haven't planned it on your itinerary or anything. So the last part here, and then if anybody's got any questions, I can answer those. And that is, how do I use car camping? So typically I'm using car camping as a tool for a day-long peak bagging objective. That's typically how I use car camping. Now, what I mean by that is that a lot of times when I'm in Oregon. So a lot of times where I'm climbing peaks, it's going to be in the North Cascades in Washington. And the last thing you want to do is usually the MO is that you just camp at the trailhead. So you get an early start. So typically it'll look like, okay, we leave Friday afternoon, boom, gets to the trailhead Friday night, you sleep in your car or whatever, get up Saturday, come back, sleep in your car again, maybe do something else Sunday. That's typically like how I would use it. Especially, you can really use this, especially if you want to be at a trailhead and you know that the trailhead is going to be super, super packed, right? But you want to be the first one on that dang trailhead, or you want to have a alpine start and you want to see the sunrise. Camp at the trailhead in your car. It's like one of the best things that you could do. Because you're going to be, especially if you have a long way to travel, typically what I'll do is I'll just go the night before. I'll just go the night before. I'll just sleep in my car, and then all of a sudden, boom! I don't have a 2-hour drive in the morning, and I had a good night's had just as good a night's sleep as I would have otherwise. And now I'm at the trailhead and I'm ready to go. I'm not tired or anything. So that's typically like where I will employ the use of car camping. And then also, I guess because I didn't touch on this when the live went down, was I typically am using car camping when I have to do brand work. So if I'm having to film something for a brand and they, I have to bring my computer with me, so I'm editing on my computer and I'm doing it in my chair or whatever I want to do. Again, it's a lot more comfortable. I'm not going to bring my computer and all this editing stuff, all this editing gear when I'm backpacking, but I definitely can when I'm doing day objectives on out of my car. And it's great too, especially when you are in the winter and there's not a lot to do. The sun goes down super early. You can chill in your car, make it really super comfortable and do that. So that's kind of what I do for car camping. And that's basically all the gear that I know about. Again, I'll leave it in the links here. Got some YouTube comments here. I love my car camper. Great way to camp. What's up, Ezra? Yeah, so it is. It's just a great way to camp. Like I said, it just gives you a different experience to rather than just having to go hardcore backpacking, which is like usually what I do. So I think that's maybe why I really appreciate it more, is because it's just it again, it gives you a different experience. So I hope that kind of helps everybody kind of think about what they want to do this summer. Again, I really encourage you to plan a car camping trip. Would love to hear if anybody's got it. Plan a car camping trip. You can go do a climb one day, come back, you sleep in your car that night, go to another place the next day. I mean, it's just really cool. And it's all just contained in your car. You move it every day. You don't have it on your back like a backpack. So that's it. We're signing off. Thanks everybody for being here.